Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back to where? To the Art Fan. It is a crisp 86 degrees up in here tonight. Only 86. It's a little it's a little crispy. So, I really struggled with what I wanted to talk about in this video. It's funny, like people say there's nothing to talk about in sorcery. What can you talk about? It only comes out once per year. There's nothing going on. Big lull, January to May, and then what? Whammy, all of a sudden we get hit up with all kinds of spoilers going on. So interestingly enough, we have Dragonlord mini set coming out in about a month's time, right? And there's been a lot of spoilers for Gothic. There was some promotion for Dragonlord, and it was really cool. There was about what was there, like 3 or 4 articles with Ed Bear Jr., some time lapse videos of Ed painting some of the Dragonlord paintings. They were done by his son. He collaborated with the company, and the company put out some great articles. And Ed came on the show actually twice. There was two article announcements, and he came on like that night, the same night that it happened. He was filming from the van in the AMC movie theater on his travels to the Renaissance Fair. So that was really cool. But now we've kind of pivoted to Gothic right before Gen Con. So I think we're going to see more Dragonlord now. We've seen like a lot of Gothic. The last one was kind of funny because there was a lot of drama going on about Archimaggio, the Italian wizard, and the Ring of Morrigan, the greatest ring in all the land. And it's funny, the Italians came in hot on that one. They were like, nah, there's no problem with the ring. What are you talking about? Archie? Forget about it. It's all good. We're all playing it. No problem. No issues, right? But some of the league players, they're super competitive, were pretty upset about it. They were calling for a seasonal ban for competitive play. The casuals, they can do what they want. They can choose at their own videos or at their own local tournaments. It's not the point of the video, right? We're here to talk about curios. So, curio cards are a big deal in sorcery, right? If you go to the collectorarthouse.com website, always linked in my videos is my link tree that has all of my social media platforms, all of my community platforms, the sorcery community group on Facebook, 5,100 members. We just hit the 5,100 member milestone. And when a new set comes out, you got to be in that group because everybody from the community goes nuts, posting all of their hits, all of the curios they're finding. Is the first place you're going to find all of the curio discoveries because people pull them out of those packs. They're like, wait a minute, this isn't on the website. This looks different. And what is this? And we're like, you, my friend, found a curio. And then what do? I go collaborate with the artist, and I twist and turn. I go into all the old videos of Eric talking, the team talking, the historical development that I've been studying since 2021 on this game, and we do some research on the origins of these curios. But if you go to collectorarthouse.com, I have a few really great speculative articles that I wrote about curios well before alpha release. And we come to find out in alpha and then also in beta, some of those things that I predicted actually came true as curios. And it was kind of like a chicken and egg scenario, right? Did I predict what was going to come? Or did Eric and the team like my prediction and manifest it into an actual curio? I don't know. I don't ask. I kind of don't want to know because then, like, depending on the day, I can make up my own narrative, my own story that I choose to enjoy. But in any case, there's some incredible curios. And if you think about the thematic evolution of the curios, I think it tells us something about what we can expect about what will come of curios in the future. And we fully expect those in Gothic. We don't know if we'll see those in Dragonlord, so that's yet to be seen. But starting in Alpha, we got a few firsts, right? The first big time heavy hitters thematically. And this is when in the Kickstarter they said that a lot of these would be a homage or a tribute to the early development of the game's history. And for the most part, they were, right? So the first ones that were big time heavy hitters, I'd say the top three are the Brahm Death Dealer, right? Or Death Speaker. The Brahm Death Speaker. It was an alternative art for that avatar. And since it was an avatar, since it was playable, since it's extremely rare, since it's Gerald Brom, iconic big time artist, and it just looks very striking and amazing with that vivid yellow background. It just pops, right? And people love that demonic, darker type of art. That is probably the number one curio. It's debatable between that and the Death Dealer, which is the other one I was talking about, in alternative art by the legendary, iconic Frank Frazetta. So this was our first taste of two iconic, legendary fantasy artists. The Godfather, the OG, the original Frank Frazetta, and Gerald Brom, one of the most popular fantasy artists for the past several decades, right? So we had those two, and then we had our first sketch card curio. And in that sketch card, it was the namesake of the company, the iconic Eric's Curiosa, right? And this was the first development sketch card curio in Sorcery Contested Realm. And if you go to collectorarthouse.com, you're going to find an archive of every single curio that's ever been discovered for every set. And you click on each image, and you're going to find a description of each. You're going to find a couple articles I wrote that are pushing 10,000 views. The one has 8,000 some views. The other one I think has 4,000 some. And it's a really extensive deep dive in the curios. And I think they're very popular because, once again, I either predicted some of those or the company took a liking to those and used them in the game. And I think there's still some discovery yet to come that's going to manifest in Gothic, all right? But I'm going to hold off on that for a minute. Let's continue to go through the evolution. I'd say the next category from Alpha is you had the troll curios, right? Literally the troll curios, the boss troll, the bridge troll, straight trolling, right? So it had this trolly element, but for the most part, they were very iconic historical developments. I think the trolls were kind of like a fun thing, like, people like me get triggered and like, that's not historical development. What are you doing with this goofy nonsense? And other people are like, oh, that's fun, it's playful, it's light. And I think that's more of a homage to Guardian CCG, which was a super fun, flavorful, goofy in some ways, silly, I guess is a better term. Goofy sounds condescending, but it was amazing CCG that Eric liked and he drew inspiration from. And now we see the Brom card that was used in Guardian CCG is coming out in Gothic. It was one of the recent spoilers. So skip ahead, we go to beta. In beta, we had more new curios, more sketch curios. This is something I speculated on that we would see the elemental avatars, the alpha elemental avatars by Severin Pino as curios in beta. And lo and behold, we got all four of them. I actually own those original sketches. Super pumped about that. It took me forever to track those down. And it's just by happenstance, too, that I just connected with the person that owned those. And we worked out a deal. He's a super nice guy. And man, do I cherish those. I love Severin. I own the Avatar of Air original painting, oil painting from the Kickstarter. Man, it's stunning. And to own those four sketches is incredible. And now they're also curios in beta. There was also the Omnipotence card, which was a reference. That was the Basilisk card. If you look at the bottom, it says Omnipotent or Omnipotence. I forget off the cuff. That was a throwback to a very special card that Eric and Nick Reynolds, the two creators of the game, really had an affinity for in the early days and had some fun with. So there's references like that. Again, a lot of historical development, more alternate art. In Alpha, we had some twists on Mirror Realm and self same simulacrum. I used to say simulacrum and people started saying simulacrum, so I guess that's the way to say it. But we had that, we had more of that in beta. That was kind of a thing. And beta, so yeah, we had more alternate arts, more like evolution development type arts, like the devil, was it the devil's egg, the Brian Smith artwork with the two figures on the side. I think it was the devil's egg. It kind of showed like a more panned out zoom of the original painting, so that was kind of a throwback. And then similarly in Arthurian Legends, we got some cool stuff as well, where we got full art, two cards being kind of merged together as one, like we saw with the Step Curio that brought together Truett Parish's Jihad and Crusade and Beta. We saw more of that in Arthurian Legends. More trolls with the Squires, always trolling, so we had some more goofy stuff. We had the Wyvern alternate art, which is pretty cool and felt really iconic. And another tribute to a legendary artist, Quentin Hoover, with his alternate art, right? Of the no, that was the Wyvern. The other one was the Heidi one was the Sparrow, right? So the Wyvern was by Quentin Hoover, the late legendary fantasy artist. So in my speculative articles, I've speculated all these years that Wayne Barlow or Keith Parkinson, who was an iconic, the late Keith Parkinson, another unfortunately passed away legendary artist that Eric really admires. I've always speculated he could be a Curio tribute, you know? If he reaches out to his wife Donna Parkinson and license one of the artworks of Keith Parkinson, that'd be so on brand for Sorcery since Eric is a huge fan of Guardian CCG, as you've seen twice now. First with the alpha release, then with Gothic with the new card that's coming out. So could we see a Keith Parkinson? Could we see a Wayne Barlow? Asked a few times in different interviews and in the Discords, Eric has cited Wayne Barlow as one of the artists would be a dream to work with. So I think that is a very distinct possibility, and also Keith Parkinson. That could be the honorary artist of Gothic, but I fully expect there to be a honorary artist of some kind. It could be one of the legendary Magic artists, or one of these other artists from these other CCGs. So I expect that to be a thing, and then also in Arthurian Legends, we had a new class. People didn't want to call it Curios. They still say it's not Curios. But the Gilded cards by Elvira Shakarova were really amazing. It's like a subclass of cards in the set, the Gildeds, separate from the Curios. Because why do people think this? Because one, they're non-playable, so it's different kind of like artistic categories. Some of the Curios are playable, some are not. Like we mentioned, the Avatar with the alternate artworks. Technically, they're playable. I don't know if they're uniformly tournament legal, but there were those gilded subclass of art card inserts within the set for the first time in Arthurian Legends, and perfectly thematic for the set. Had very elaborate gilding by Elvira Shakarova. The original paintings are incredible. They're some of the highest selling paintings in the game because they're mind blowing. I talked to Ed Bear Jr. about that, and he's like, Mike, that painting is like three paintings in one. Because first of all, you have the middle part, the main figures. There's like multiple figures in there, so there you have multiple figures. It's not one uniform figure, and then this elaborate gilded frame all the way around is just incredible. Really enhances the value of the painting, and plus it's large, right? But I digress on that. It's a subclass, maybe not a curio, maybe an art subclass insert in the set, and I'd love to see that again in Gothic. So do we see a subset of licensed art from Keith Parkinson, from Gerald Brom, from some other iconic artist? Therese Nielsen, possibly. In the article that Jeff Rosato wrote on the collectorarthouse.com website, go in my link tree, go to collectorarthouse.com, go to interviews and articles, look for the recent speculative article. There was one on Gothic and the one on the Dragon Lord mini set. On the Gothic article that Jeff wrote, he found a very interesting finding from the official Sorcery TCG website. A sketch, a sketch that has a certain composition that relates to the artistic style of some of the work of this iconic artist, right? So perhaps we see her as the featured artist, the featured subclass of arts, or maybe a one-off tribute of a licensed piece, a really iconic piece, perhaps. I don't know. It was a great theory by Jeff, but either way, I love this idea of having a subclass different from Curios, or call them Curios if you want, but something from an iconic artist. This is such a profound art project. It's such an opportunity to really showcase some of the iconic artists of fantasy art history by doing this, making it a special chase, very rare, very coveted, very valuable. Super excited about this, guys. I think it persists. I think that's something we can look forward to. And please let me know what you find. Join the Sorcery Community Facebook group. We just hit 5,100 members. I'm telling you, when this set kicks off, we're going to see so much more. There's a woman smoking behind my car right now. You see her back there? She's photobombing me, baby. She's photobombing. She wants in on this sorcery action. She heard Gothic. She heard Therese. She heard Brahm, and she's all in on this. I'm going to go pitch it to her right after this show. I got to run. I got to go pitch it. Look for it. Community group. Join up, baby. It's popping off in there. It's exciting. I'm gonna go pitch the game. I'll see it.